Hey guys, John Rettinger with John4Lakers.com here. This video's got a bit of an old school flair to it. I'm recording it with the eyesight. I wanted to get a video up about the keynotes as quickly as possible so it's still fresh in your mind and my mind, and we can start the debate as quickly as we could. So let's go ahead and get started here. This is the last Macworld that Apple is going to be attending, and Steve Jobs was nowhere to be seen. Actually, Phil Schiller took the stage. And he started by talking about iLife. Not terribly exciting. And everybody expected the keynotes to really pick up there. We expected new Mac Minis, iMacs, all a myriad of other things, a possible netbook, a tablet, all these things, and really, mostly what we got was software and a new 17-inch MacBook Pro, which we all knew was coming anyway, which looks exactly like the MacBooks and the 15-inch MacBook Pros. It's nothing terribly exciting. So let's get started and at least discuss what was brought up and gone over, and what's new coming out of the folks in Cupertino. So the first thing he started talking about was iLife 09. I've got a few notes here so I don't miss anything. So the first product in iLife that he started talking about was iPhoto. It's got this really cool new thing in it called Faces. It actually uses recognition software to detect somebody's face. So you tag a face, you make a little box in it, like that, sort of in Facebook. You type in the person's name, and it'll actually search through all your photos to find that person's name and tag it appropriately. And you can search for photos of John Rettinger, and they'll show up. I don't know why you have pictures of me, but if you do, they would show up right there. And also when you import a new picture of me or whomever you've tagged, it'll ask if that's that person. And you can say yes or no, and if it's not, you can type in that person's new name. So that actually is a very cool feature. I can see that being handy. Let's say you've got a few buddies over and you've got 1,000 pictures in your iPhoto library and you're not sure where your photos of you guys going to Cancun were. You can type in your buddy's name, boom, Armin Talik, Brandon Miniman, hit enter, you can see all the pictures of them. Very cool and very easy. So they added in something else new called Places, which is essentially geotagging to sort your photos. So if you took photos when you were in Paris, you can tag your photos and all your photos from Paris will show up. Nothing terribly exciting or revolutionary there, but it is a new feature found in iPhoto 09. They also added support for feedbacks and some new filters are built in. Nothing terribly exciting. They also added some new slideshow themes. I wasn't really excited about it. Maybe you guys were. I don't really use slideshows very much, but if you do, there are new slideshow themes there, and those themes will also now show up on your iPhone. So if you're looking at your photos on your iPhone, you've got a theme synced, they'll show up. Do you guys really show slideshows on your iPhone? I usually just flick through the pictures when I'm showing somebody. But maybe it's important to you, and I am just way out of the loop. So started building a little bit of momentum. You're like, okay, he's getting the software and the boring stuff out of the way. And then he brought up iMovie. iMovie 09. People were not happy with iMovie 08, and it was pretty universally ill-received. It was missing out on a lot of the features that iMovie HD or iMovie 06 had, so they're trying to fix that with iMovie 09. Visually, it looks like iMovie 08, but now it's got a ton of new features here, and I think a lot of them were long overdue. He admitted that iMovie 08 even didn't live up to some of the hype here. So we've got a precision editor, you've got some advanced drag and drop, you've got dynamic themes, animated travel maps, which actually started to kind of look like the old Indiana Jones movies, or the new Indiana Jones movie. When you see the little red line, he travels all across the globe to find the Holy Grail, what everybody's looking for. Well, now you can make those, and I would expect that to be just egregiously abused. I was watching the Engadget stream and listening to the folks at Mac Tip Podcast stream it, and they made the same joke, so I thought it was funny sharing it with you guys here. Also, there's support for green screen, which is very cool, or a white screen behind me, as you guys can see. So you can add your own effects behind it. We'll see how that works. The next thing they talked about was GarageBand. And essentially what GarageBand is now is a musical instrument tutor. It'll actually teach you how to play instruments. They brought in some big musical names, but it'll teach you how to play an actual guitar, how to play a piano, and so forth. I'm not musically inclined. If I was, I'd probably want to learn from a person instead of a computer. But if that toots your horn, GarageBand's, now for you. So okay, now he's got to have gotten the software out of the way, right? We talked about iWork 09 and some of the other stuff in there. Is it now time for the hardware? No. Then he started talking about iWork, which is Apple's answer to Microsoft Office. Another little dry speech here. But what they added was the first one was Keynote. So now there's a new Keynote application. Keynote is like PowerPoint. There's a Keynote application now for your iPhone. So you can view your keynote presentations on your iPhone, or you can even control them from your iPhone. And it's a 99 cents application from the App Store. Not so impressed. So next thing I started talking about was this new iWork.com. There was a lot of talk that Apple would be taking their iLife suite into the cloud and online, but it turns out all that was iWork.com. If anybody's familiar with Google Docs, essentially Google Docs now, but by Apple. So you can upload a version of your iWork doc, which is like a Microsoft Word essentially. Upload it. Anybody from a PC or Mac can download it, they can look at it, they can edit it online, they'll be notified when changes are made, and you can set it to be emailed to you or emailed to the person that's editing it. It's just a collaboration tool that's now done completely in the cloud. And by the cloud, I just mean online and cyberspace, in case you're not familiar with the jargon. Nothing terribly revolutionary. It's in beta right now. Actually, the beta starts today. So if you're an iWork user, it's kind of cool. I don't see the need for it. I've been using products with Mobile Me. I put stuff in my public folder, let people pull it down from there and edit it and email it back. I'm not terribly excited about iWork.com, although it could potentially be very cool and handy. The one nice thing about it, though, is it's totally cross-platform. So people on PCs now can have an iWork sort of workstation online. So it started building up. We said, okay, now is it getting more exciting? No. He slammed us with a Mac box set, which is a nice deal, but it's not exciting. Certainly didn't think merited time in a keynote. So what the Mac box set is, iWork 09, iLife 09, and Leopard for $169. It's actually a pretty good deal considering iWork is $99 and iLife is $99. And for both of those, if you want to get a family pack, meaning you can put it on 5 machines, $79 each, and the family pack is $99. So it's actually a pretty good deal with this mega box set. So the next thing he talked about, finally got to a little bit of hardware, got very excited. Is he going to talk about the new Mac Mini, redesigned iMac? No. 17-inch MacBook Pro that we all knew was coming, was very obvious was going to be happening. But it does have some cool features. So let's talk about the 17-inch MacBook Pro that he started discussing. It's got a backlit LED with a 1920 by 1200 resolution, 700 by 1 contrast ratio. Pretty nice. The glass trackpad found in the current MacBook Pros and MacBooks can have up to 8 gigs of memory. Oh, that's going to cost you an arm and a leg. But if you want to, you can have it. And it comes now with 4 gigs of RAM standard, which is really nice. A single FireWire 800 port. And you can get up to a 2.93 gigahertz dual-core processor, and a 320 gigabyte hard drive is standard. So a lot of people were complaining about the MacBook Pros, at least the professionals were, that the glare was awful with this glossy screen. They couldn't use it outside, they weren't getting true colors. They were really pissed off. So what Apple's done, they now have a $50 anti-glare option. You're probably saying $50? Whatever for an anti-glare option. That sucks. I'm not paying it. Well, the reason they're charging you $50 is actually have to remove the entire glass bezel and actually build it into the screen. So there's a little bit of extra labor involved. $50 is worth it to you, and you're a professional, and you're buying a machine that costs this much. Probably not going to break your bank, but at least now you have a choice. So the big thing, and probably the biggest bit of news that come out of the keynote, was the new battery. Lasts up to 8 hours and can be charged 1,000 times. It's not removable, however, and the lifespan got extended up to 5 years. So you get a much longer battery life. Non-removable, however, so if you're traveling on an airplane for longer than 8 hours, you're going to be in trouble. So what do you actually want to talk about this for a minute here? What do you guys think about a non-removable battery? Even though it's got this extreme long battery life and you can charge it for 5 years, probably not even going to keep the laptop for that long. If you're a professional user, you probably upgrade pretty regularly. But is it worth it to you? You know, are you giving up too much to get a non-removable battery? You know, up to you guys, see what you think. Personally, I don't mind having a non-removable battery. I've never bought a second battery for a laptop. I've never replaced a battery on a flight. But I'm not a professional that uses a MacBook Pro for my life. I'm not a graphic designer. I'm not a professional video editor. You know, so that's never been an issue for me. But for you guys that are, is that an issue for you? The price is the same as before, and it's going to ship the end of January. So not readily available like iLife and iWork are. Those actually will be shipping out today. So you can probably pick them up from your Apple Store tomorrow, or probably even download them. So next thing I start talking about, all right, we got to the hardware, really exciting. Here comes the big stuff. Here comes the netbook. Here comes the tablet. Please, here comes a Mac Mini. Nope, here comes iTunes. So most songs on iTunes were 99 cents. We now have a 3-tier pricing system. 69 cents, 99 cents, and $1.29. If you're in the UK, prices are obviously going to be different. Or if you're in Europe, prices are going to be different, or anywhere else in the world, Australia, wherever else you guys might be. So iTunes was famous for having this DRM. And what DRM essentially means is the songs are restricted. You can only play them on an iPod. You can't move them elsewhere to somebody else's computer. It's digitally restricted music, essentially. So Apple's been progressively getting rid of that, and they now finally have almost gotten rid of all the DRM. 8 million songs are now DRM free today, and by the end of Q1, which is March, there'll be 10 million songs DRM free, which is actually very cool. So you can bring your music now from that you download in iTunes to another MP3 player. You can give them to a friend to listen to. You can put them on your Zune if you're foolish enough to buy one. You can put them on whatever player you guys choose. And it really gives you freedom as a consumer. You bought the music, you should have the right to do as you choose with it, as long as you're not distributing it. So that's pretty cool. The next thing they started talking about was the iPhone. Here comes something cool for the iPhone. We're finally getting copy and paste, MMS, something. All we got was 3G downloading of iTunes music. You no longer have to be tethered to a Wi-Fi connection or a wireless hotspot. You can now download music directly from 3G. I don't care. I've probably downloaded 4 songs total from the iTunes music store on the iPhone. I think most of those I downloaded just to show you guys. I was not terribly excited. So at this point, it's getting a little bit late. Figure, okay, they got the boring stuff out of the way. Here comes the big stuff. Nope. They brought out some musical artists to play for you, and that was the end of it. There wasn't a one more thing. Steve didn't come out and say, look at me, I'm okay. And you can see, actually, the worse the keynote got, further down the stock price went. Phil didn't do a bad job. I think he did the best with what he had to work with, but he did not have much to work with. You can almost see why Apple was getting out of Macworld here. They couldn't keep up with their own product development cycle. They were expecting to be wowed, or to wow people every year, and just couldn't do it anymore. This is clearly a case. Expectations had been so built up by blogs, and I'm guilty of that too, that it was bound to be a disappointment here. And it certainly was, considering it was almost all software stuff. So what do you guys think about Macworld 2009? What were your thoughts on it? Did you enjoy it? Did you not enjoy it? Were you enthused? Are you excited about iWork and iLife and a 17-inch MacBook Pro? Do you not care? Are you pissed that you're not getting a new Mac Mini or a new iMac, or you're not getting, the Intel's i7 Core i7 chip in an iMac? What do you guys think? So, wanted to leave this up to you and hopefully start a nice discussion. Video responses or comments down below. Anyway, my name is John Rettinger with John4Lakers.com. If you want some exclusive content, be sure to follow me on Twitter, www.twitter.com/John4Lakers. See you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.